In clear weather, you should have a beautiful view. If it's foggy, as it so often is in summer, you may have to use your imagination. The narrow channel separating us from the mainland is called Raccoon Strait. Directly north across Raccoon Strait from here is a peninsula called Tiburon. To the left of Tiburon, and joined to it by roadways and landfill, is the narrow island of Belvedere. Behind Belvedere is Richardson Bay. The peak beyond Richardson Bay is Mount Tamalpais. To the left, along the hills and the mouth of the bay, you'll see the houses of Sausalito. Now let's move on to Camp Reynolds, the first U.S. Army post on land. Ahead to the right is Point Stewart. Beyond Point Stewart, notice the chain of coastal hills reaching toward Mount Tamalpais. Millions of years ago, Angel Island was one of these hills. At that time, the ocean was 400 feet lower. San Francisco Bay was a wooded valley. Pamela Present is adjacent to the Angel Island Association. Angel Island was just part of the valley. When the ocean rose after the Ice Age, filling in the bay, Angel Island was cut off from the mainland. In 1846, the United States went to war with Mexico, claimed possession of California. Mexico signed a treaty surrendering California to the U.S. 2 years ago. 1 week after James Marshall found gold at Sars Mill. The gold rush brought the world city to when California joined the Union, President Millard Fillmore declared Angel Island a military reservation. Camp Reynolds was built in 1963 during the Civil War. Pamela Present, the Civil War California declared itself toward the Golden Gate to defend against Confederate ships. Fortunately, these were defeated. The weathered red building ahead was a hospital. It was completed in 1904 and was used for training Army surgeons. Camp Reynolds features the largest collection of wood-framed Civil War buildings left in the nation today. In the 1980s, Dr. Robert and Mary Noyes restored Quarters 11 and the Bakehouse at Camp Reynolds. They lived here in an army tent while they worked.
At camp, we were visited by veterans and by various passers-by and so forth.
People used to say, "Oh, you mean you lived in a tent for 5 months?" This is terrible. I can't think of anything fun because we could hear the sound of the sea, like ships. We didn't really feel isolated at all.
The work of Bob and Mary Noyes was a powerful inspiration for today's Angel Island Association. From here, you have an overview of Camp Reynolds. The grassy incline is the parade ground. Past the parade ground at the water's edge is the remains of a pier. An artillery gun is down along the shore to the right of the pier. Notice the red building ahead. This is a mule barn. You can see hitching rings along the low concrete wall to the left. The mules were used for transport on the island well into the 20th century. Ahead on the right, you'll see 2 houses, both painted yellow. The small building nearest the tram is the Bakehouse. Just beyond the Bakehouse is Officers' Quarters 11.
Hey, okay, this is Camp Reynolds. This is where she's fixing to tell you you can get off, but you can't. I got a little information though. This is where they processed the soldiers before they sent them off to Civil War, World War I, World War II. Processing meaning shots, paperwork, you know, get your orders, tell you where you're going, who you're going to beat up today, that kind of thing. The bakehouse in quarters 11. Bakehouse is, these guys got 1 loaf of bread per day. The generals, they lived in this quarters 11. 3 families could live upstairs, and they all shared the downstairs. And you know, because they were the bigwigs, that's why they got to live next to the bakery. Because, you know, they were sucking up, getting more than a loaf of bread. My theory, I'm not positive, but I know I would be. Anywho, these houses here were for, you know, the lower ranking guys, whatever's next down from a general. The lower rank you went, the later that you went to the water. I personally would have preferred to stay being a private, because anytime a higher ranking guy came, everybody had to move down a house. So if you were like low on the totem pole, you could just stay down there. You know, you wouldn't have to keep moving. Not that these guys were here that very long. Some of them were here for a few weeks, some of them were here for months. I think the ones that were here for the longest were the ones that guarded the gate. We have cannons down there, and I guess they just stopped, but for most of the summer, on the weekends, they were firing the cannons a couple times a day. Pretty awesome. I'd like to try to be up here so we could all hear that. It was pretty cool. But I guess they stopped because I haven't heard it in a few weeks. But they have a couple of cannons down there that are aimed at the gate. They guarded the gate. And then this next place that's up the road about 3 minutes away is where there's a battery up there, and you can see where these big guns were at. There was 2 big guns up there, and there's a picture on a plaque up there. Those guns had a 9-mile range. It's about 3.5 or 4 to the actual gate, so they could shoot pretty far out there. Plus, there's all kinds of bunkers over in the headlands. But they, you know, were guarding against, because there was all that gold rush and everything like that. They bring living history classes up here to show what happened during the Civil War. These are, by the way, the oldest wood frame standing leftover buildings from Civil War era. And she says the nation, the Rangers say this side of the Mississippi, but I'm thinking that there was probably some that's got to still be up in like Virginia or something, because they have a lot of war action going on over there. I was never very good in history. I got much better since I've worked here. Anyway, before all that, the Indians lived here, the Miwok Indians. They were a really nice group of Indians, supposedly super friendly. They would paddle out in their little balsa boats and be waving at you and saying, "Come on, come on." And what happened was Spain turned it over to Mexico. Mexico came, these guys lived here, the Indians lived here. They wanted them to learn their culture. And that is like eating with fork, maybe, putting shoes on, more clothes, you know, getting all proper. Well, they ended up killing them off because they gave them a lot of cooties and diseases. So it wasn't, I don't know. I think we should just let well enough alone, kind of. Anyhow, they bring the history classes up here. They march the kids up here from the boat. The Rangers dress up like Civil War era officers. If they step out of line, they tell them to drop and give them 20. They come up here, they camp overnight, and they wake them up in the middle of the night. They don't tell them that either. They wake them up, make them march the perimeter like the soldiers did. Then they get up really early, bake a loaf of bread, and go back to school. It's kind of cool. I've seen them marching. The first time I did, I was like cleaning my tram in the morning, and I started cracking up because I actually saw a ranger tell them to drop and give them 20. And I was like, what? Anyway, we have a lot of deer here. Did you all see the one that was on the side of the hill? Pretty cool. Usually this time of day, this time of year, they're a lot around. They are pretty friendly. They don't, I mean, just come up and say hey to you, but they come up and just carry on. A supposedly on the weekends, I haven't seen it lately, but throughout most of the summer, that's like a museum. You can go in there, go on a tour. They have the furniture all set up like it was before. And they come, as far as I know, they do when those kids come up here.
Okay, so it's still furnished and outrageous.
Yeah, but nobody lives here that I know of. They all the rangers that live here, there's like anywhere between 25 and 40. I heard that right now there's about 40 rangers that live here and their families. It's on the other side. You'll see it when we get over there. It's like they got these guys and their kids, and they take them on the boat to go to school over in the mainland every day.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of awesome though, because they can come home and not have to worry about getting run over by that Mack truck that's coming around the corner or anything like that. All right, so in about 3 minutes or so, this place I'm going to let you off. I'm hoping the fog burned off good enough that y'all can see the city, because it's one of the most panoramic views in the Bay Area, and it really is awesome. And it is burning off, so we'll see what we can see. Ready?
Where are you from?
Well, why? I live in Sonoma County.
Oh, okay. It just sounds like you're from like, you know, a southern state or something.
Oh, God, I was born in Texas.
Actually, it's a good place to take wedding pictures. I think we should always do it. We should do it 10 years later. Yeah. See how much you change. I spoke to young bosses. They said that back. Yeah. They had to pay $6. They charge you?
Tours of Quarters 11 in the Bakehouse are available most weekends, April through October. On weekends, there are also cannon firings down by the water. We'll stop here briefly. Visitors who want to explore Camp Reynolds may get off the train. Ahead on the right, you'll see a small white building that was the chapel at Camp Reynolds. It was also used as a schoolhouse. Look around for a tree with bark that's hanging in strips, as if it's been shredded. The leaves are long and pointed. This is a eucalyptus. It's an exotic species here. That means it isn't native to Angel Island. Before Europeans discovered the bay, native trees such as the turon, madrone, coastline oak, and baylor covered much of Angel Island. That all changed in the early 19th century. Whaling nest was covered prominently until in just a few years, they stripped the island of almost every tree. Arnett planted large portions of the remaining grassland with exotic species, including eucalyptus.
We found and planted the roads, just like corn. So what we had were acres of eucalyptus trees. But we should have had a mosaic of native plants, trees, and shrubs.
Exotic species upset the island's ecological balance while displacing native plants. Today, the park is working to limit them to make the barriers to their historic sites. Our next stop just ahead is called Battery Ledger. This was the site of one of 3 artillery batteries built on Angel Island after the Spanish-American War. Battery Ledger was completed in 1904. It declared obsolete in 1909. No military installation in San Francisco Bay has ever fired a shot either.
Panoramic view.
You should ask Kathy for a picture.